Okay, we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to Rowan's Department of Biological and Biomedical seminar series. I'm excited to have you all here today. And let me just before I introduce this panel, just mention that we have several different seminars this semester. We had one a few weeks ago that the video should be up soon if you didn't get a chance to see it. And then in the future, we have some really great speakers coming in. On October 23rd, we have a perspectives seminar, and Dr. Morrison is going to be talking about palliative care and how to help care for people who are in the process of dying and their families. And one of the ways that she approaches that is using poetry. And so this is a perspective seminar. It's not a research seminar, so she'll be helping us to think through how do we do that kind of care. And then we also have Dr. Pierce coming in from our own department here. And then on December 4th, we have Dr. Kat Milligan-McClellan coming in. She's an Indigenous professor who works with sticklebacks and biomes. So it should be a really interesting, all of these will be really interesting. And these will be recorded and the videos will be up for you to see. So right now, I would like to hand this over and I'll have you introduce yourselves, but we're having Graduate School 101, Insights into Graduate School at Professional Schools, or non-professional schools. Thank you.
Do you want a laser pointer? Do you want a laser pointer so you can progress from your seat?
Yeah, why not? Thank you. Oh, this is like the one I have. Oh, okay. Hi. I'm going to introduce them in a minute, but I am Madison. So I'm just going to start this off here really quickly, just as a forewarning, right? We're talking today about non-professional graduate school. Non-professional doesn't mean you're not going to have a job. It doesn't mean that you're not going to have a career. It just means you're not training for a specific profession, right? Typically, when we're talking about graduate school, a lot of people immediately think med school, vet school, law programs, things like that. Those are professional degree programs because you're training for a profession. You're training to be a doctor, something specific. So we here are research-based. We don't really train for a specific profession, but rather just do kind of science in general. So today, I'm going to introduce all of us, or let everybody introduce themselves. I'm going to give you a short little presentation on how to prepare for graduate school while you're in your undergrad. Then we'll give you some insight into what our days are like, how you choose a program, how you choose an advisor, how do you apply once you're ready for that, and then we'll open it up for you guys and let you ask whatever questions you have for us. So without further ado, I've already introduced myself, but I am Madison. I'm in my second year of my PhD in complex biological systems. I did get my master's in bioinformatics from Rowan in 2023, so I do know about both programs if you have questions about either one. And I am in Dr. Yang Chen's lab, so I do all computational work. I don't touch a wet lab. I don't know, well, I know how to pipette, but I don't, I don't do that. So I strictly am computational, which means most of my work is remote. We're going in alphabetical order, but we're not sitting in that order, so.
Hey. Hi everyone, my name is Elias. I'm in Dr. Manners' lab, Mr. Manners. I'm a fifth-year PhD student. In 2020, I got my master's in molecular biology, and I currently work on mechanisms of resilience to chronic stress. So we work both in culture and with mice. We do behavioral tests. We do a lot of culture and in vitro studies. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, my name's Roz. I am in my second year here as a PhD student. I do not have a master's, so I don't have experience with that, but I do have experience with going right from undergrad into the PhD program. I am in Dr. Matthew Barber's lab, and my research largely focuses around fungal phylogeny, so how different fungal species are related to each other, as well as fungal microbiomes overall.
I'm Dawn. I'm in Dr. Maggie Pierce's lab. I'm a third-year PhD student in complex biological systems here. Before this, I have been working in industry for 5 years, so I have experience all the way from analytical development through drug manufacture through drug testing. And I work on Huntington's disease and supplies and primary cell culture.
I don't even need to look, I know it's me. Hi, I'm Ariel. I'm also from Dr. Melissa Mendes lab. I'm on my 5th year, hopefully I'll be graduating this summer. So before my PhD, I also have a master, but I used to be pre-med and I changed to research. So if you guys are interested, I can also speak on that. I study chronic stress and neuroinflammation and online medicine. We basically touch everything. Like mouse, cell, dead mouse, everything. But what else is in here? Oh, that's it. Thank you.
Oh,
I did that.
okay. I was like, wait, what? Okay. So now I'm gonna hop up because I'm going to end up showing you some website stuff too. But I'm going to give you a little bit of some tips for while you're in undergrad, what you do to prepare for graduate school. So in general, we have 4 tips to try and keep things simple. 1, seems kind of obvious, but put work into your classes, right? You all do this anyway, but that is 1 step towards this. So you're already on the right path. Good job. The next thing you want to do is get involved with research, and you'll want to seek mentorship, develop relationships. 4th thing, start early. That is the biggest one, I think. So a little bit more insight into this. In terms of putting work into your classes, most of the programs you're going to apply to have a minimum GPA requirement of 3.0 on a 4.0 scale. This GPA requirement can be overall, so all of your classes and all of the weights together, or major specific. So sometimes programs will ask you, what's your major GPA? And that's just all of your core classes and all of your restricted electives, basically average it as your GPA instead. But that being said, grad school is not just about grades. You're not going to get into a grad school just having a 4.0 GPA. And you're not going to not make it into grad school if you have a 3.0 GPA, right? For example, if you had an introductory class, or if you're in your 1st year now and you're struggling with some classes, right? You're learning how to do time management. You're learning how to organize. You're learning all of these skills that you need to be successful. It's just not reflected in that course's grade, right? Maybe you get a C in your 1st biology class. You're like, oh, it's all over. It's not, I promise. If you go on and you say, okay, I've learned all these skills. I now know how to study. I know how to do time management. And I can come over here and I'm going to get an A in all of my upper level classes. I'm going to get A-, B+. That looks so good. It shows that you stick with things. It shows that you have learned how to go through adversity, but you're still learning. Grad schools just want to see that you are invested in learning. They don't want to see that you're the smartest person ever, right? So it's not just about your grades. To that end, there are lots of things you can do to help your application if grades aren't really your thing, which is fine. One thing that's really important is to get involved with research, right? The easiest way to do this is to join a faculty member's lab. So a lot of the faculty here at Rowan have labs that are looking for undergrads. We want to help you guys. We want to train you. We also want help doing our work, please. Yes, thank you. So if you're not sure about how to join a faculty member's lab, they actually have a really, really lovely, no, please don't do that. We're gonna hide this. So if you come over, I have a couple of resources here in the slides. I think you guys post the slides as well. So I won't go through these slides specifically individually. I'll show you here. And then if you need to reference them, it'll be available there. But you can just look up Rowan BBS. Click on this first link, the Department of Biological and Biomedical Sciences. There are a ton of resources for you guys on this website. One of those is that seminar series that Dr. Thomas had showed you earlier. So on here, if you scroll down under Spring 2024, there is this seminar here, BBS Research Faculty Panel, How to Find a Research Position in the Rowan BBS Department. And this will go through everything on how you're supposed to do that. It tells you about different research that professors are doing. It tells you how to contact them, all of the steps and questions that you might have. They went through in that seminar there. So that will be a really useful tool for you. They have all the slides here, and then they have this recording for you guys to watch. There. The other thing you could do, I'm just not going to, because I'll show you another slide real quick, is there is a program here at Rowan called URISE. So that's typically meant for first years, but you can actually apply at any point. Occasionally they have an opening that opens up in an upper level class. So if you apply, you'll already be in the system and they'll notify you of these potential openings. So even if you're not a first year, this is a good idea to apply to this. The first application step is really, really short, right? It won't take you long. The application is officially due February 2nd, 2025. But the sooner you do it, the less you have to remember in your head. Because I know you'll walk out of here and be like, when was that due? I don't know. So easiest way to find the URISE program is if you just Google URISE at Rowan. Why? Why do you do this to me? And this here has information about the program, how to apply, the link to apply, and all of the benefits that you get. URISE helps you to do research. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it is paid. So if you have a campus job or something like that, and you want to get experience and you need funding, right, because school is expensive, this is one option for you. So that is a really good tool. Another Rowan program is SERP. So SERP is a summer program at Rowan. It is either 5 weeks or 10 weeks, again, paid, right? Nice. So SERP will allow you to do research with a specific professor at here. So if you're not quite sure who you want to match with or something like that, you can apply to SERP. That application is typically due in the beginning of February and it opens up later this semester. After that, there is a whole host of external research experiences. The most common one that you'll hear about is an REU, or a research experience for undergraduates. I did one of those when I was an undergrad. Those are really, really great, especially if you like to travel, right? These programs are paid. Most of them provide a stipend for living, or they'll offer you housing plus a stipend, and they're all over the US. So if you want to go to California for a summer, do some research at a university over there, you can, and you'll get paid, right? So there's lots of ways to do different experiences. Those typically happen in the summer. We have on this biological and biomedical sciences under student resources, you can find actually a list of even more of these things under national and international research opportunities. The department has been very, very kind, and they put a bunch of this stuff together to help. So they are talking about, this is that REU program I was talking about. They have specific biological sciences programs as well as social and behavioral programs. The National Institute of Health has a bunch of summer internship programs, Department of Agriculture. So no matter what you're interested in, you'll be able to find a summer internship that suits you. If you want to do regional things, they have that section as well. They also have international research programs. So if you want to go abroad for a summer or do an abroad internship, there are a list of things for you guys to look at here. So step 3 here, we want you all, I should say, to seek mentorship and develop relationships. So when you go to apply to PhD programs, you're going to need a minimum of 2, most likely 3 recommendation letters. Professors don't always say yes to writing a recommendation letter. There are some things you can do to help yourself to make sure that they say yes, right? You want really stellar letters, but if your professor doesn't know you, if you only had 1 class with them, you never really talked to them, they don't know you. They're not going to be able to write you a very good letter that really speaks to your strengths. So your job here is to help professors get to know you, right? Keep in contact with professors that you've had. Try and take multiple classes, especially if you can take multiple upper level classes with the same professor. That looks really good. And they get to know you over the course of the semester. Go to office hours, talk about yourself, ask them about their life, right? Like you don't have to have a specific question related to their course, but you can ask them questions about, well, I'm interested in genomics, right? How do I learn more about that? What opportunities are there for me? They might not know the answer, but they'll know where to steer you. And that kind of develops a relationship over time. So that way you can, ask for those letters and they feel like they know you. They feel like they know your personality, your leadership skills, they know your work ethic, all these things. The other big mistake that we often see is that you don't do it with enough professors. One professor is only one recommendation letter. So you need 3, you need a minimum of 3 professors that you're kind of keeping in contact with, you know, discussing all of these things. The other benefit to this is that even though, like, you know, you're looking for recommendation letters, you're going to get guidance along the way. Professors know a lot of things other than science. There's a lot of hidden rules in science. That's why we're holding this seminar, to kind of help you guys learn about these things that you didn't know you didn't know. Your professors know even more. So if you're constantly having conversations, they get to know you, they get to know your interests, and they can help guide you. So that's really great. And that's why we really are looking to make sure you guys have mentors and that you're developing these relationships throughout your college career. A quick side note on recommendation letters. You need to ask early, at least a month, preferably 2 to 3 months in advance. They take a long time to put together because each individual program needs its own letter. They can use kind of a skeleton, but you still have to put in the effort to change the program name and change the name of the school and all of these things. So it takes a while, and then they have to upload all of them separately, right? It's not like you have a common application, you get one application for every place. Second, remember it's a request. They are not necessarily going to say yes. So you need to actually ask them. Don't say, oh, like, thank you for helping me with this. Like, I need a recommendation letter. The words I need a recommendation letter is not a request, right? Like, would you be willing to write me a recommendation letter is much more of a request rather than a demand, right? So be kind, ask them for an actual letter and make it easy for them. So to make it easy, there are a couple things you can do. You're going to want to include at least the number of programs you're anticipating on applying to. If you know the names of the programs and the names of the schools, put that in an Excel table for them so that it's easy for them to find it and replace things. Give them your current resume and CV. Give them a draft of your personal statement and your transcript, right? Try and make this as easy as possible, make it as organized as possible. They're much more likely to say yes if you make it simple. There are a couple of things. One of the things for that was the resume or your CV. You can get resume help all of the time if we come. Why does these people? So on ProfLink, there is the Office of Career Advancement, Career Services. If you click on this in ProfLink, you can scroll down and they have these virtual drop-in hours. They also have them in person. So you can come in, write resume reviews, and that will help get your resume in shape. I would recommend keeping your resume updated because if you wait too long, it's kind of like if you guys have ever gone and like made a LinkedIn and you waited and you're like, wait a minute, did I finish that in July or was it August? I don't remember. So then you're going through things and it's so much more work. Just keep it updated. Like even if you're just leaving yourself a note and they're like, this started on this day and ended on this day, and this is what it was, you can go back and flesh it out later, but keep all of the dates and information there. And our last thing here, please start early, right? You can start as early as your first year. By starting early, you're allowing yourself to kind of establish this track record. You can say, oh, I've tried all these things. I've been involved in research. I have done well in classes, or I've worked towards doing well in classes. It also gives you a lot more time to figure out what it is that you want to do. The world is very broad. As you'll hear from us in a little bit in terms of our research, we all do very, very different things, and we're all in the same program right now. So it's broad. You have to know what you want to do, and the best way to do that is to just try things, right? You're not going to know if you don't try. And then you also will end up having a lot more experiences discussed in your application. So that looks really nice for grad programs. I know that that was a lot, so I have given us an action list here. First thing I want you guys to do, if you're not involved in research already, go watch that seminar that I showed you on finding a research laboratory to join, and then email professors that you're interested in working with, right? That can be done this week, no later than the end of next week. Yes. I also want you to work on developing relationships with your current professors. They all have office hours. Email them that you're coming. Say, I'm coming to your office hours. Just let them know, and then go and talk to them. They're very interesting people. They have fun stories. So you don't learn about the fun stories when you're in class. You only hear those in office hours. So you should definitely go. Take a look at those summer research opportunities. A lot of the applications are actually due starting at the beginning of December. Some of them go later, like ours, until February. But if you start looking in November, then you don't have enough time to ask for recommendation letters, get all of your materials together before a December deadline. So if you look this month, right, then you have a much better chance of kind of looking at all of these programs. The other thing is probably make a short list. I would apply to like maybe 5 programs. I know that that seems like a lot, but not every program is going to be the right fit. Whether you're not the right fit for the program or the program's not the right fit for you, sometimes you get a rejection that's like, thank you for your application, but we unfortunately cannot accommodate you this summer. That might not be your fault. It might be that the research you're interested in and the professors that you're listing aren't accepting students. It might be that they don't have enough funding, right? Sometimes it's not you and your application. You might be like the most perfect student ever, but they just don't feel it will serve you, and so they'll reject you. So give yourself a choice, right? If you apply to 5, you're likely to get into at least one of them and potentially more. So give yourself, don't put all your eggs in one basket. Make sure you have things lined up. And the last thing to do is to just think about, in the back of your head, kind of leadership activities. Grad school programs, in addition to all of these academic things, also really like to see that you're involved in the community. You're invested in where you are, the people around you. So planning a leadership activity can be something as simple as, I think Dr. Thomas mentioned, a student that was doing a drive for animal supplies. So she put out boxes with some flyers and announcements, and once a week she would go and pick up the cat food or the blankets or whatever was placed in those boxes, coordinated it, put it all together, counted it, and gave it to the shelters. And then, guess what? You get to write in your application, I coordinated an effort to supply the cats and dogs of our area with these supplies, right? It's not a lie, you did. Did you put in that much work? No. So, right, minimum work, maximum, right, effort here. So plan some leadership activities. Think about things that won't take long, but are really good at showing like, I'm invested in my community. I care about the environment, things like that. It doesn't have to be big. You can get a group of your friends together, drive down to the beach and pick up trash, right? That's still a coordinated a beach cleanup effort for 12 people. Those people can all be your friends, right? Like you can make it fun. So think about these kinds of leadership activities, and this should set you up really, really good. You'll be a fantastic applicant for grad school. So before we get into that, the question of when to go to graduate school, right after is not always the answer for people. So I'm going to hand it over to Dawn, and she's going to kind of go through some benefits and drawbacks of working for a year or more between your undergrad and graduate school.
Hi, again, Dawn. So right after my undergrad, I didn't know what I wanted to do, and I felt like grad school wasn't for me unless I knew what I wanted to do. So working full-time was the answer for me. So I had a really tough time thinking of drawbacks for this scenario. The only one that I think that I came across was it took me a long while to get a position right out of my undergrad because my university didn't have any research opportunities for me to do there. So the research opportunities was critical in me finding a position. So it took me about 6 months to be able to find a lab position right out of my undergrad. So Rowan thankfully offers research opportunities for their students. So I highly encourage you to get research experience. If this is the way that you want to go, it's not impossible. It might just take longer. But to get into the benefits, and I might be biased because it's my experience, but what I always enjoy the fact that I learned every single kind of area that you can be in when it comes to like drug manufacturing. So I spent 3 years as drug manufacturing for monoclonal antibodies, and then from there I went into testing, so testing the products, and then also I was in a development type of position. So getting to have the view of all those different areas helped me learn that where I wanted to be was in research, which is why I came back to grad school. So there are opportunities that if you don't want to go back to grad school in industry, there are many paths and opportunities for that as well. This just happened to be my experience, so that's why I'm a little bit biased. It also, the biggest key factor or benefit of working was growing my network. So I still keep in touch with a lot of people that I worked with who have experiences, even in techniques that I'm using in the lab here, that if I run into a challenge, sometimes I'll send them a text and be like, hey, my PCR isn't working and I tried all these things, like any suggestions? And then I have those people who are able to like help me out kind of through that connection that I made with them. And then also I was growing my network so that when I do eventually graduate from graduate school, like I still have that network there and I can reach out to them and be like, hi, I just graduated. Here are all the cool things I did. Do you know of any openings or can you help me kind of get back into industry when I graduate from my graduate program?
I have a question.
Yeah.
So you don't have to be honest about your particular situation, but do you feel after going into, I'm kind of in the same situation that you are, after finding full-time employment, are there more opportunities that you found for tuition reimbursement or providing you to continue your education further in graduate school?
Yeah, so I've actually had a very untraditional grad school experience. So I was originally at a university called University of the Sciences, which is no longer exists. And I was working on my PhD part-time there. So I was working full-time for the company that I was with at that time and doing school part-time, and they were covering my tuition for me. So a lot of like the bigger name pharma companies will definitely have that tuition reimbursement. Some cover 100% of your tuition for the year. Some will be like, okay, we'll give you $5,000 for the year, or $5,000 for the semester, and you can take up to the credits to that amount, or just pay the extra if you wanted yourself.
Thank you. Okay. We're going to tell you a little bit more about what we do from day to day. So we're going to start with Ariel, just talking about what does a typical day look like for you?
Depends. So when we work with mice, our vivarium is actually in Camden. So when we have like big mouse experiment, actually won't come to Glassboro campus. We actually go to the vivarium that's next to Cooper Hospital, and we probably spend the full day there doing mouse experiment. And because that's only for the mouse, I actually couldn't do any like cell culture work over there. Or when we don't have mouse experiment, which is now we really, I always come into the day knowing what I'm gonna do today, so I probably already planned it, and then in the morning I'll start experiment, and sometimes there's lots of like downtime, so I would just work on a presentation I'm gonna present sooner or the data I have, and then I'll go back to work on my experiment, and of course I'll have other undergrad help me. That's pretty much the day. Sometimes it ends very soon, sometimes it's gonna be a long day, and your experiment never works the first time, so there's lots of troubleshooting. So,
And we'll hear from Roz.
So one thing that I think is really good about this panel is you're going to get a lot of different views, because depending on what program, what research, where you are in your PhD, your day is going to look different. I don't do mouse models, and again, what my day looks like is very dependent on what I have on my schedule. So if it's a teaching day, really all I am doing that day is getting my like lecture lab material ready, going over and double, triple checking things. It's usually the day that I'm like in my teaching pen, so I do my grading those days a lot of the time. And then I am fully prepared with like lots of snacks and water to like sit in the lab and teach a bunch of you guys for 6 hours. And then come home and like crash. If it's a research day, it's a lot of getting up earlier in the morning, making sure I have a good breakfast so I can get here with ample amount of time to schedule my autoclave and get my stuff autoclaved on time and get my experiments running. So it really depends.
As far as mine, since I'm computational, some days I don't come in. I have a very large computer setup at my house. And so some days I don't actually come in here. I work remote. My days mostly consist of reading papers, programming, testing things, going back. I will say graduate school tends to be, depending on which program you are, not every school is like this, but it tends to be flexible. It also depends on your PI. So I work really late hours usually, like my prime working time is from, I want to say 6 p.m. to like 2 a.m. Like that's when I get most of my work done. The nice thing about graduate school is you can do that. As long as your advisor is okay with it, you can make meetings in the mornings and things like that. It's really okay. The other benefit for that for me is that I coach ice skating, so I can take breaks in the middle of the day when we have ice that's available. So there's lots of things that you could do. Like if you're worried about finances in graduate school, there are ways around it depending on which program you are in.
I will just add that because of the fact that you have a lot of flexibility, which is really nice, I personally do my best writing. If I've got like a grant that I need to write or a paper I need to write, I do my best writing in my pajamas on my couch. Like I know I can't focus if I'm up in the lab and I'm gonna talk to all my friends. So like if I have a deadline I need to meet, like I don't come here. But that requires a lot of self-discipline on my part to not just sit on my couch and like sit on my phone and watch TV. So I know you guys are like starting to get into it with undergrad. You know, you kind of get to pick your classes and your professors aren't like following up behind you, making sure all your stuff is done, but start to practice that like self-discipline, like scheduling of your day and sticking to that schedule no matter where it is that you guys are located. Yeah.
So yes, I'm also gonna come back to you if you would like to speak a little bit on life management.
Yeah.
Other things.
Absolutely. And also not only being a parent in grad school, but I was a parent in undergrad too. So my day, the part I didn't tell you about my day is I start off by waking up a 4-year-old who does not want to get up for school. And my day usually ends with picking up a 4-year-old who has lots of things he wants to tell me about school. But yeah, so I am also on a time crunch a lot of the time. And so I don't know if anybody in here is a parent, but even if you're not, we all have like outside responsibilities, things happen, life changes. PhDs, specifically, and even masters, are kind of an odd degree because usually a bachelor's like your family and you have this image in your head of like, okay, I have this many classes I need to take. That's kind of the bare minimum. I'm going to graduate on this date. There's not really like a set time for when I have to, like there is, but it's not, nobody finishes their PhD at like exactly the same time, right? So it's a bit more of a lifetime commitment to do a PhD, and people have kids in their PhD, people get married in their PhD, it's, you know, stuff happens. So being a parent in grad school and also in undergrad, who then went to grad school, one of the biggest pieces of advice that I can give you, or just being somebody who doesn't have a lot of time availability, is like be a self-starter, be like a go-getter. And what I mean by that is because of the fact that I had, my son was 2 when I graduated with my bachelor's. I was not in any meeting like this because I didn't have time for that. I had time to come to class, get my work done, and go home. And then I was actually personally in the CERT program, and the CERT program is without a doubt the reason that I even got into grad school anyway, because that was the only way that I was going to get research experience to put on my application. But make sure you're doing your due diligence, reach out to people, use your resources where you have them, and kind of be easy on yourself in a way that like know that you can and are capable of like achieving this and getting it done, but it may not be on the timeline that you had set out for yourself, and that's totally fine. That's totally okay. But yeah. I don't know, there's not a whole, I could go on and on about like all the different things that make my experience different as like a parent or somebody who has like a at-home commitment. But I can take like more specific questions if you have, like either now or at the end. Yeah.
Okay, so that's a little bit about our day. There's another important part for grad school, which is choosing a program and choosing an advisor. So we're going to hear from Elias first about how to find a graduate program, and then what you should look for when you're actually deciding and like choosing which one to go to.
Yeah, so this is a very important point because a lot of people, when are accepted in a program and they start their masters and PhDs, they find out that maybe that's not the program that they wanted to have their masters or PhDs in. So there's a lot of research to do before that. And this is one of the main responsibilities of the undergrads, that they have to commit most of their times in their senior years to try to find the best PhD program that they're interested in. But even before the PhD programs, the actual school that they're applying to. So my advice is that first, you have to apply to more than one. Usually the more the better, but to a certain number. So you don't just want to apply to anything just to get accepted. You have to pick a couple of schools that you're interested in. Sometimes people prefer schools based on like location, based on the programs that they offer. But once that you have identified this school, for example, here Rowan, you start looking on their website for the programs that are available for masters or PhDs, for graduate school in general. So if you're doing your bachelor in something that is not too specific, so you'll have a lot of options that you can apply for. For example, if your bachelor is in biology, so you will have a whole list of programs that you can apply to, and specifically to labs that you might be interested in. So the next step would be to eliminate stuff that you're not interested in. For example, if you see that this program that we're in, complex biological systems, it has labs that do mice work, for example. If that's not your thing, I wouldn't even look at my like labs that are focused on mice work. If you don't like working with flies, you could eliminate these labs. Some people don't like cell culture, so they eliminate this. So because you have such a long list of available options, eliminating stuff that are like a big no for you can help you in specifying what you're really interested in. So this is where you start. You go to the link of each program and then you read the requirements that are needed, and then the expectations. Some programs, for example, compared to other, might have longer or shorter graduate years to complete your degree. So it also depends on like what are you committed to, what you actually want to do. So these are the things that you should look for when choosing a graduate program. Some undergrads, they've been working for a long time with a professor, so they would choose the program or the lab that they have worked in as undergrads. And some of them, complete opposite, because they worked in this lab, they know what they don't like about this lab, so they would exclude all the labs that are similar to this one, and they would go to a totally different labs. Both are actually good, because if you commit to the lab that you worked in as an undergrad, this means that you're familiar with the experiments that they do, with the environment of this lab, with the people around, so you might have a higher chance of your experiments going faster because you know how to do them, finishing faster maybe. But also choosing a different lab would give you the opportunity to have more experience on your CV, to try a different research field that you might like more. So both ways are good or bad depending on the situation.
And then we will hear from Ariel.
Oh, sure. Thank you. I agree with everything Eli said, and just like earlier Madison talked about, having research experience as undergrad very important for this, for how to choose grad school, because during your undergrad you will choose a lab, while you just join the lab and you figure out if you like this kind of technique or if you like this kind of research or not, or even like in terms of how to. Oh, what was that? Next question. But even in terms of like the technique, that you will learn lots of technique, and then when you apply for grad school, potentially the PI you work for as undergrad will have connection to help you and could give you advice on how to which lab is better and which or like if eventually they can reach out and make your application process a lot smoother. And in terms of choosing program, I know as undergrad, when we apply college, we choose the school, but when it comes to grad school, you choose the lab. Then you see where the school is. So for me, when I started, I know I want to neuroscience. So I look to other school that has a good neuroscience research, and that's how I narrow it down for me. And then I know I want to work with mouse, then I narrow it down again to the lab who only work with mouse. So it's very important to know what you like and what you don't like, and where is the line you're willing to like give in. Like if you like cancer research or if you hate cancer research, so that can help you eliminate a lot of factors on where you want to do your grad school is.
Yes. So
If I can add just one last
Yeah.
point, the important thing to remember about this is the deadlines. Like you might be interested in a lot of schools, but the deadline might have passed already, which happened to me when I finished my master's and I was applying. The deadlines of a lot of schools I was interested in has already passed. So I was limited in the number of schools I could apply to. So just be careful and remember that you have to apply within the deadline.
yes, we will come back to that point. But another important part of grad school is choosing a good advisor. So an advisor is also a really big part of your graduate program and experience. So we'll hear from Dawn first about how to choose a good advisor. What is a good advisor?
Yeah, so to me, choosing a good advisor starts with knowing yourself. So just as we all learn differently, advisors all can mentor differently too. So you kind of really need to know yourself and your communication styles, your preferences for would you like a mentor that's very hands-on, or would you like someone that gives you a little bit more space to be independent and free thinking. So it really starts with knowing yourself and choosing a good advisor. So those are kind of the things that you need to think about when picking an advisor. Also important is what type of research that they do. Like, do you enjoy being in their lab? And also, in order to identify a good advisor, you can also like talk to other members who are already currently in the lab and kind of see how they feel about the lab and it's probably most of it. It's knowing yourself, knowing how you like to learn, and if that person's a good fit.
And we'll hear from Ross on additional information.
Yes, so a lot of it is, does their research align with what you want to be doing for the next 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 years, depending on what kind of program it is, but also being honest with yourself about what it is that you need is probably what I would say is even more important, because of the fact that it is kind of the opposite of undergrad, where undergrad you're like, oh, I want to go to this university, and then you figure out the program, and then you figure out like a little undergrad research lab. It is the exact opposite. The first person that you are going to be talking to about anything and everything is going to be your advisor. So even if you're at a university that maybe you don't love the university, your advisor is going to have the biggest impact overall on your graduate experience. So making sure that you're emailing them, getting interviews with them, talking to them, as well as talking to their grad students without them being in the room, is going to give you like a really good view on what they're going to be like as an advisor. And if you are somebody who you don't have any other obligations, you want to get in, get your research done, and get out in the shortest amount of time possible, and you're fine with doing 12-hour days, 5, 6 days a week until you finish it, that's fine. There are advisors that works for them, and that's totally fine for you. For me personally, it was kind of the opposite. I needed somebody who fully understood my work-life balance and wasn't going to expect me to be in the lab all day, every day. And I thankfully have found that. And so the research project matters. I think it matters more that you are at least doing research somewhere in the field that you want to be in. It's okay if you are not in love with your grad school research. The biggest piece of advice that I got when I was like literally having a meltdown in my office crying about my grad school research was somebody said, that's okay, this is the worst research you're ever going to do. And it was so true, because if you leave, I am a baby scientist, and if I leave grad school, and this is the best I've ever done. I didn't grow as a scientist past grad school. So it's fine if you are not in love with the research that you do, just make sure it's something that you can at least tolerate for a few years. But I honestly would rather be in a lab that's doing research that I'm not really in love with, but with an advisor who's super supportive and is giving me what I need from them, than being in a lab where I really love the research. I love this research topic, but it is not a good fit with the advisor, because that's going to end up in me not actually loving the research topic. So be very honest with yourself on what it is that you need. If you need hand holding, that's fine. Just make sure you find an advisor that has the time to give that to you. If you don't, that's also fine. So but also, like I said, making sure, do not feel bad. LinkedIn's a great research or resource. A lot of these advisors, especially at bigger R1s, universities, they have their own lab websites, dissect their lab website to find out who their grad students are. And I mean, we have all had prospective grad students reach out to us on LinkedIn and be like, hey, I want to go into this person's lab. What are they like? And yeah, take them out for coffee. I'd love for somebody to take me out for coffee and just talk about my advisor, and, you know, good, bad, ugly, all of it. And that will really give you like a really good perspective and on who they are as an advisor.
Yeah, Roz is like completely right in every point that she made. When I was applying to graduate schools, I reached out to students on LinkedIn and I got answers from most of them. Some of them won't answer, but I got answers from them on LinkedIn that were like paragraphs long and very detailed about their lab, their experiences with their advisor, if they would even recommend their advisor to future students. So students have a lot of input into that. And also, another point that Roz had was to email them ahead of time. People love to talk about their research. So another thing that I did when I was applying to grad school was I reached out to all the people whose labs I was interested in. And I was like, hey, can we set up an hour to talk about your lab? And I did that before I even applied to the school, so that I could find out if that program was what I even wanted to be going to for that specific person. So there even was one program where I was only interested in one professor, and I fell in love with their research, and then we had a chat, and she's like, I don't know that I'm going to take on grad students because I don't have the funding for it, and my project's also going to go in a completely different direction than what I have on my website. So that also helped me to narrow down what grad schools I wanted to go to, and people are going to be honest with you. Most professors, most students, most people want to like help and for you to do well, and they're going to be very honest with you.
Like, now that we know where we're going, how do we apply? So Dawn, how are we going to apply for graduate school? What do we need to put in our applications?
Yeah, so some schools you apply directly through the school. I think there's a system, I think it's called GradCast. There are some Philadelphia universities that use it. It was like, there's kind of like a Common App. So you would apply through this website for that specific university. All the universities are going to have an admissions page that will tell you all of that information. So best advice that I can give you is to like go straight to the admissions page and read about how they'll have a detailed like steps for how to apply to their programs. And also, if you get confused, definitely reach out to the admissions counselors. They will be like your best friend in anything admissions wise. So one time my transcripts got lost and I spent many emails back and forth with the admissions team on trying to find my transcripts for a particular program.
And Alex, if you want to add anything to that?
Yeah, so the main things that you need have been mentioned by Madison before, which are mainly the transcript for your GPA, your CV or resume, your personal statement, and your letters of recommendation. So one thing to remember about the last two is that for your personal statement, you'll probably be applying to maybe 5 or 6, 7 different schools. It's not really recommended to just copy paste the same like paragraphs for all these schools, because it would be a bit obvious that you're writing a very vague like paragraph about your interest that would apply to all the schools that you apply to. So try to find something specific that characterizes this school, like each of these schools, and then make this paragraph a bit specific to that school. Like try to mention, like for example, 1 or 2 labs that are specifically interesting in these in this school. Why specifically this program compared to others? So you will be using your same personal statement for all different schools, but try to modify each of them a bit so that the person who's reading it don't think that you're just sending the same one to everything. And then for your letters of recommendations, you will need 3, but I think the most important one might be from the faculty that you worked with in your undergrads and did research in their lab, if you did research in your undergrads, because that's the advisor who you spent your most time with doing what you will be doing in graduate school. So they will have the most materials to talk about you and to write about you in this letter. So make sure that you do research in your undergrads, and then you pick this advisor, if it was a good experience, to write you a good recommendation letter. Yeah, these are the main points.
Yeah, and then for anyone who's thinking about going into like a job first before grad school, you may not, either your point contact, the faculty might not be there anymore, or you may not have faculty that you felt close enough to go out to. You can contact the admissions team and kind of talk about your experiences and how you're currently working, and sometimes they'll accept instead like a supervisor or a manager or even like a director's letter of reference instead of a faculty member. I personally kept in touch with a couple of the faculty members from my undergraduate university, so I think I used one like academic letter of recommendation, and my other 2 were from my job, so my supervisor and my director.
One last thing to add is that if you're an international student like myself, you'll have some extra paperwork that you might have to submit. If you're coming from a school that is outside the US and you're applying for graduate schools in the US, you might need extra papers and stuff for your F1 visa. If you're at a school outside the US that doesn't follow the 4.0 scaling of the GPA, you might have to transfer your grades to that scale so that you present it to the school in the US. So just make sure to plan ahead so that you have all the required documents.
Yeah, that also goes if you want to go outside of the US for your PhD, right? All the things that you would need to come into the US for your PhD, you're going to need to leave for the PhD program.
Just one thing that I didn't hear talked about is keep an eye out if your programs are requiring you to sit the GRE.
Yeah.
That's a big one.
Yeah.
It's going away. A lot of universities are moving away from it. If anybody doesn't know what the GRE is, it's like the SATs, but for getting into grad school. It sucks. I'm sorry. And it's totally fine. Also, for me, what?
I loved it.
You love the GRE? I specifically chose programs that did not require a GRE to apply to. And that's okay if you do that. That's okay if that's possible. It's more for like more biomed, I think, are still hanging on to it. More of like the evo programs have gone away with it. But just keep an eye out, because that's a whole other requirement that you're going to want to be practicing to and making sure that you're sitting the GRE and getting your results back before your deadline.
Okay, well, that leaves us here. So if you guys have specific questions about research, about life, anything like that, we're happy to talk to you.
How did you guys know like your program was particularly?
For me, so when I first started, I was working full time, and there was only a limited number of universities that offered a part-time program. So that narrowed it down to literally 2 universities in the Philadelphia area. So that's like partly how I did that. But then when my other university no longer exists, that's kind of how I knew I needed to move to Rowan as a full-time student. And the other part too is, so I guess I included, like, I considered full-time, leaving my job and going to a full-time program at the time, but then I had gotten into the part-time program. When I was looking at schools for full-time, I was looking mostly at what research I knew interested me. So I'm really interested in cell and neuroscience, and also genetics, which is how I ended up in Dr. Pierce's lab because she is neuroscience focused and also genetics focused. So for me, it was more about like choosing the science. Yeah. Anybody else?
I think another thing is that what you don't realize is like PhD programs are usually recruiting you. If they want you, they will pay for you to go and visit their campus.
Yeah.
So when I was applying and got into programs, I spent like a whole semester just like flying all over the country to the programs I had gotten into, and they invite you for a weekend. A lot of the times you get to meet their students, you meet the faculty, you see their campus. They'll take you out to like fancy dinners, like they're trying to wine and dine you. So if they admit you, they want you there. So but that is a great opportunity for you to make sure that the area that you're in is somewhere that you like. So one of the programs I applied to was University of Maine's Jackson Lab program. And I went up to the Jackson Lab, which is in Bar Harbor, Maine. Bar Harbor is a beautiful place to be in the summer. So serene, lots of shops open. In the winter, everything shuts down. They have you visit in February so that you are fully aware of what's going on there. There is one restaurant that's open every single day. They rotate which one is open. There's one grocery store. So, right, like you get to kind of see, you're like, oh, maybe that's not a good idea for me. So that's a really useful thing to visit. So if you apply to programs, you get into them and they ask you and invite you to come, go. Take the opportunity.
I have a question from online. What was your preferred amount of classes, or what was undergrad like versus grad class-wise?
They're two completely different things. Undergrad classes are a lot of, they're like almost like not comparable. Like, so undergrad, it's a lot of like memorization, you're learning new concepts, you are trying to figure out like you just have these whole big concepts that you're trying to even learn the basics of. You've got assignments every week, you've got multiple exams, and grad style classes are usually way smaller. I think the largest one we've had is a cohort of 8 students, to one professor. There are a lot more intimate settings. And you're mostly, I bought textbooks since grad school, but I've never bought a textbook for a grad school class because there usually isn't one. Most of the time it's like, oh, well, here's a one I recommend, but like, you're not going to be like assigned like readings from that textbook that you normally would be. And so it's a lot of like journal clubs. You're like reading current literature and you're building on concepts that you should already have an understanding of. And then the really confusing part is that your exams are like 10 questions and you're talking about like theoretical concepts and you're told that there's like not a wrong answer, but then the critiques you get back are why you were wrong in your answer. And it's also like, you just don't have to sweat the grades as much. Like you're taking 2, maybe 3 courses. They meet once or twice a week for not nearly as long. You have like 1 exam, maybe 2. You have a bunch of papers and like presentations that you'll have to write, but it's more like you're hanging out with your colleagues and just talking about literature and papers and just building upon concepts rather than like having to memorize a bunch of new things that you didn't know. That makes sense.
Yeah, I think summarizing, I mean, usually I just consider them different because undergrad, you're learning all of the basics. So you have to go through and do all of the basic stuff, which is a lot of memorization to be able to actually think about the way that things are now working. So like, if you don't have any background, you can't think of new ideas, right? You don't know what's known. Grad school is more about teaching you to think about science as a whole. So some of the classes that we've taken teach you to think about like modeling. What is a good model? What things are in modeling, right? All modeling. So they're different in nature. It's not so much memorization. It's more about learning how to think.
Yeah.
And what's good about these classes in PhD, for example, you can finish them in the first 2 years, and then the remaining years you can focus on your research. Yeah.
Talk about how you graduate the defense level.
Yes. So typically for a master's program or definitely for a PhD, some master's program, you're required to write either a thesis or a dissertation, which is basically a write-up of all of your work, the whole process. It's kind of like writing a really, really long manuscript. So like you have lab reports that are detailed. This has even more detail. My master's thesis was 70 pages long, not including supplemental files, right? So not all of them are this long, but for the most part, it's like they're much longer documents than what you're used to. And then after you submit the document, you have to sit there and present all of your work to usually your department, but at least the people who are your committee, which are basically the people who've decided if you know enough to get your degree, if your work is solid. And then you have to get questioned, which is kind of like a mini interrogation. It depends on who you have in your committee. So you have questions from like a general audience, and then the general audience will leave and you'll have questions from just your committee. And really that's kind of trying to pick apart what you know, what you don't know, getting you to admit you don't know things, and stuff like that. It largely depends on your committee. I've heard a lot of wild stories from people. My uncle got his PhD from Clemson, and somebody on his committee asked him why a manhole cover was round. His PhD is in genetics. So it really depends. Like sometimes you get some funky members. Some of them will be all related to your research. Some of them won't be related to your research. So yes, it's kind of people call it stressful, but most of the time you're prepared for it. I think you guys are getting close to defending, right? So how's that feeling?
Good. Yeah, it feels good. You have to pass through a lot of different steps before that, especially in the PhD. You have like qualifying exams, comprehensive exams to go from a PhD student to a PhD candidate. Once you're a candidate, and then you go through the years, you start finalizing your research, you start writing the paper that you will be publishing, because this is also one of the requirements to be able to publish the research that you've done throughout your graduate years. So once you get all this together, you just set up a meeting with your committee, showing them your presentation. I've done all this during these years. I think I have enough data to graduate, and then you will ask to defend. Then you'll schedule your thesis defense, and hopefully it goes well.
Can one of you elaborate the difference between a thesis and a non-thesis master's program? Like maybe if you're getting ready to go to medical school.
Oh, so when I have my master for biomedical science, it's actually a non-thesis master because I want to go to medical school, but I didn't take enough courses or I didn't have enough experience. So I did non-thesis master. So what essentially is you don't do any research, you're taking classes. I did my master in 2 years and I did 36 credits. So it's just like you're taking like just like similar to undergrad, you're taking classes, but it's more higher level science. Sometimes if you go, they have like special master program just for medical school. So you're basically taking the same courses like the first year medical student, and you're going through that. And usually, I know that those kind of programs, if you go through it, that increase your chances of applying to medical school. Like that's has this program. For a thesis master, you do similar work like we do. You do research, you bench work, or like medicine, like less no bench work, but still research.
Yeah, so I think probably the biggest difference is kind of where you see yourself going. So if you're thinking about going to a PhD program, they typically want to see that you did if you're going to do a master's before, you don't have to, that you did a thesis master's degree. The reason is academia is a little weird. It looks suspicious to some people that you would do a non-thesis, right? Like you're not doing research, but you're doing a master's degree if you intend to do a non-professional PhD program. Now, if you're doing a graduate program, like you want to advance in industry or something like that, and you don't really need a PhD, and you're like, I just want a little bit more, you can do a non-thesis master's, which gives you kind of a step up, but it's not, I guess, the research involvement that you would get from a thesis track. You can also do a non-thesis if you're planning to go to like medical school or something else. So really just depends on where you want to go.
And for non-thesis, you don't defend, you don't write your dissertation, you don't need a committee, you just take enough courses, you meet GPA requirement, and graduate.
Yeah, I think the only thing that I'm sitting here thinking that we didn't touch on was like interviews. So like for grad school, you typically do interviews, especially for like PhD programs. So one of the things that they definitely look for in those interviews is they're going to want you to talk about research or about science, and they're going to try to like fish to see how much you know. So that's definitely one of the things to keep in mind for like interviews. And if they give you the list of the professors that you'll be interviewing with beforehand, definitely look into their research background so that you can go in and you have questions prepared to ask them, or even questions about the specific program to ask them. They definitely want to hear your questions and give you the answers, and that'll only help you find like a good fit in a grad program for you as well.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Do you kind of mentioned teaching and some graduate research assistantship? Can you just explain about that? Like, where does the money come from for you to do this stuff, and that you get paid to do?
Yeah, so the cool thing about a PhD is most of the time, it should be all of the time, but most of the time you will get paid to do it. Won't be a lot of money, but it will be something, and you should be also getting a tuition waiver with that, so you should not have to pay for your PhD. Master's is a little bit different. Usually schools, if they have funding left over from their PhD students, they'll roll it onto their master's students, but masters kind of they're not the priority. The PhD students are the priority when it comes to funding. And there's two main ways that you can get funded for your PhD. You can either be a research assistant, or you can be a teaching assistant, or a teaching fellow, or a research fellow. Each student, university calls it differently. So teaching fellowships or teaching assistantships, they vary about how many classes you have to take by university. But my experience is I teach 3 lab sections of a bio course every semester, and then I get paid the credits that I teach, and that's kind of where my tuition waiver then comes from and how I'm getting paid. I don't actually get paid to do my research, but it offsets the financial costs that I cannot have a full-time job or even really a part-time job outside of this. So I teach. There are grants, usually research fellowships. They're by the advisor. So if your advisor has applied for an external grant via USDA or NHS or NIH, and they've got grant money, and part of that grant money is for grad students, then your advisor specifically can say, oh, actually, this student's not going to teach. I'm going to buy them out, is what it's called, and then they will pay you your stipend and cover your like tuition waiver and stuff through their grants. There are a couple universities that are really large universities that do have research assistant money specifically at the university tucked away, but it's certainly not every grad student in that university is going to get that. But no matter what, do not pay for your PhD. Do not do that. You should be getting paid, and you should be getting a tuition waiver for your PhD, whether it's teaching or otherwise.
There's also, you can apply as a student for certain types of grants. So it doesn't have to come from your advisor. You can apply for them yourself. Sometimes they have grants that are specific for first year students, for PhD students, and then sometimes there are grants that are specific for if you've already passed like the qualifying exam. There's grants that are specific for that as well. So you can also look for funding yourself, and it also gets you practice in writing grants and things like that as well.
The GRFP is the biggest one, and graduate research fellowship program with the NHS Yeah.
NSF.
NSF. Letters. You can apply for that in your senior year. It's very ambitious to do that. And I think that even applying for it in your senior year would probably make your applications look better because it shows a lot of advisors that you're really serious about your grad school. If you got that, you're kind of golden. You basically can go wherever you want to go, because then the NSF is who is like paying for your grad school at that point. And that would certainly look great on an application. But yeah, so keep an eye out. There's not a ton of opportunities for like undergrads to be kind of looking forward for research, but keep an eye out in, you know, these big like funding areas for like doctoral fellowships that like pre-doctoral fellowships that come up.
All right, I think that brings us to 3:15 or around there. Let's thank our panel.